And I think we are live. And I think we're live. Welcome, welcome, everybody, to Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, whatever time it is that you are watching. Can you guys all hear me okay? I I realized like 30 seconds ago, I didn't have my microphone plugged in. So I'm like, oh, that's going to be a problem. But now I think we're all plugged in. I'm just going to pull my chair up a little closer. I feel like I'm kind of far away. Okay, there we go. All right. Ooh, someone is early. I'm just going to say hello to everybody really quickly here. All right. Okay, I'm so excited. Our second live of the year. It took me a while. Okay, I will have to say I apologize because it took me a while to plan this one. I had planned it in my head, but to actually send out the notification that I was doing a live, I was a little late last night getting the notification out. We're hanging out with some friends today, and so we had to figure out what time we were actually hanging out with them because I didn't want to schedule the live and then be like, oh, I have to reschedule it. And they have kids, and so they had to figure out what they were doing with their kids and all that jazz. But anyway, they decided that the kids weren't allowed in our hangout, which I'm like, I'm okay with that. I mean, I like kids, but I'm okay just to do adult hangout time. So yeah, welcome everybody. This is officially our very first child-free chocolate club live. So I cannot take credit for this idea. This was an idea that someone had on our last live, and they said we should have a child-free chocolate club. And I was like, that is literally the best idea ever. So every time we meet for a live, it is the child-free chocolate club. Bring your chocolate and let me know in the comment section what kind of chocolate you're having. And if you are someone that doesn't like chocolate or you don't eat chocolate, just grab another snack and come join us and let's have a chat together because there's really nothing better than eating some chocolate, in my opinion. Good morning. Good morning. Hello, hello. You guys are so funny. Child-free icon. I don't think you want me as your icon. Oh man, that's too funny. So, oh, my eyes watering a little bit here. So yes, if you are the person who suggested to start the child-free chocolate club, please write your name down in the description or in the description box in the live chat because I want to give you credit for it. This was not my idea, but it was an absolutely fabulous idea. So let me know if it was your idea so I can give you credit for it. Sending you love. Oh my goodness, from Hungary. Oh, that's so cool. Hello, hello. What time is it in Hungary right now? Like, are you in the middle of the night? Are you? I'm not great with time changes unless they're like close to where I live. I'm never sure what time zone people are in. Hello, 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 Shirley. Do I know Child Free Millennial? I don't personally know her. I know of her content though, but yes, I do know her in the sense of like knowing her online. Hello from Saskatoon. Ooh, a fellow Canadian. Do you guys have snow? Is it freezing cold there right now? We don't have any snow. I'm a little sad about it. I wish it would snow again, but it didn't. And actually, I have been to Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, actually, way back. I think it was way back in high school one time, we took a road trip up to Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, and I just remember it being really flat. That's what I remember about Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. I mean, maybe there's some mountains there, but I think it's pretty flat, right? And oh, it is -9. Okay, yeah. I mean, I get that's actually not bad. Not bad for Canadian winter. It is evening in Hungary, 7 p.m. Thank you so much for spending time with me, you guys. Hey, I manage the airport in Saskatoon. It is super flat. You manage an airport? That sounds like a really interesting job. Oh man, how do you like doing that? It's super flat. Okay, yeah. So I assumed my memory was correct, even though that was a long time ago. Yes. Hi. Hello. Hello. Do you guys have your chocolate? And I know this is kind of short notice because I didn't post this till last night, but if you have chocolate, go grab it. I'll wait. We'll all wait. And then you can let me know what kind of chocolate you're eating. And again, if you don't eat chocolate, just grab another snack. Love watching you from Mississippi. I've been watching your content for less than a year. Oh, welcome. I'm so glad to have you here. I have never been to Mississippi, but I remember being a kid and watching a movie once that was apparently located in Mississippi. I don't know if it actually was, but I just remember thinking that the name of it was really cool. You know how like when you're a kid, one of the words I remember that we would talk about spelling was Mississippi, like Mississippi, because people like I don't know, as kids we had this little rhyme thing that we did with it, and we always thought it was like a really fun name to spell because most of us couldn't spell it. That was kind of funny. It is amazing and fun. All women I work with are child free. Whoa, no way. That is fantastic. It is nice to be able to have coworkers that are child free. There's something about knowing that other people in your work area get the child-free life, right? I actually had 2 bosses that I've had that were child-free, and so that was kind of nice because we were, as much as we liked kids, they understood my point of view of not wanting kids when everyone else was like getting pregnant and having babies. So it's definitely nice to have coworkers that don't have children. Hello, it is great to catch you live. Yes, I agree. Jumping Moose. That's a funny name. I like that. Actually, I was just watching a nature show about moose yesterday. It didn't end well, unfortunately for the moose. Uh, is what do you think would be the most fun Canadian city to visit for an American who's never been to Canada? Oh man, I guess it kind of depends what you want to do. Like the big cities, like, if you go to like Quebec City or if you go to Toronto or if you go to Vancouver, those are like big cities that have a lot of stuff to do. They have a lot of history. They have all sorts of activities, right? They have like outdoor activities, they have nightclubs, they have restaurants, I mean, it's like endless. So I would think like pick either like East Coast or West Coast. Okay, no offense to people that live in like the center of Canada, but I feel like there might be less big cities there to do things. Um, I guess that would be like if you've never been to Canada, I would say, yeah, go like super East Coast or West Coast, like Toronto, Quebec, British Columbia. If you want to like see the big city stuff, I would say those would be my three top picks. But there are other spots in Canada, like there's some really cool stuff in the prairies, really cool stuff like Banff and Jasper are incredibly amazing. And then like super, super east, like PEI, all those areas, they have like fun stuff to see too. But I think like most tourist destinations definitely tend to be like Ontario, Quebec, or British Columbia. So just depends what it is that you enjoy. Yeah, Vancouver has tons of stuff to do. And Vancouver is like you get like the mountains, you get the ocean, you get the city life, but you can also find spots that are more quiet if you don't want like all the hustle bustly kind of stuff. Montreal looks like Europe. Yeah, it does. Actually, that's one thing I really liked. I haven't been to a lot of places in Europe, only a couple of countries, but I really like history and just seeing the buildings and the architecture is super interesting. And I feel like Canada doesn't actually have a lot of that, but Montreal does definitely have a little bit more history, or buildings that kind of look a little bit more historical. But that's one really cool thing. Like when I first went to Europe, I was like, whoa, these buildings are so interesting. We went to several different like cathedrals too, and they're just like, whoa, like nothing like what you see in most of Canada. So yeah, there's a lot of really cool history. So not Calgary. I have been to Calgary. Okay, Calgary's fun too. See, now I'm going to get beat up because all the people that are like live in the cities I haven't mentioned are going to be annoyed. Calgary is also great. There's also fun things in Calgary, but I guess it does. I don't know. I'd always think about people who've never come here and they're never like, oh, I went to Calgary, or oh, I went to Saskatoon, or oh, I went to, I don't know, some other place. Like it's always, people are always going to like the big cities. So don't be mad at me if you're Canadian and I didn't mention your city. Please don't be mad at me. I mean, I love Canada and I think there's lots of super fun places in Canada. So, I mean, I'd be fine to say like go anywhere, but oh, you guys are so funny. Your attitude is inspiring. Thanks for helping the world with some extra arguments for not wanting children. Yeah, we have to keep talking about it. It's making a difference. So wherever you are in your little corner of the world, keep talking about it. Cool. Thank you. You're welcome. Hey, from India. Hello. 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 That is a place I've never been to. I've never been to India. I would travel to India. I think I would travel to most places as long as they were safe. If they were on a like do not fly zone or do not fly list, I wouldn't go. Other than that, I mean, there's so many places that you can see in the world, right? I feel like all countries focus on the border states and districts. Harbor areas always have a lot of attractions. Yeah, I do think like when it's certain cities, and I noticed that definitely in Canada, they're just like the destination cities, and that's kind of where everything is. So like no matter what you're interested in, you can probably find something to do. Whereas like some of the other cities, they have really fun things and cool things. But like when I think about traveling, I think about, okay, where can I get the most for the area that I'm traveling to? Like I don't want to travel necessarily to like 10 different areas in a country, right? I want to travel or in that specific city. I want to kind of go to a central place and then be able to have like lots of options for things. And so I think, yeah, that's why, certain points are always like the hub spot. If you're kind of a typical traveler. But I can understand how sometimes people will just kind of want to see the things that aren't a typical tourist attraction. That makes sense too. And I've done that as well. Like when we travel, sometimes we like to just go to like, okay, show me something that's more like local to the area and not super like touristy. But if you've never done any of the touristy things, then it is fun to go and do like the kind of typical touristy things. I considered moving to Vancouver for a year just to experience it, but the lifestyle cost seems daunting. It is brutally expensive. Yeah, the big cities in Canada are like, I don't even know. It's insane. That's all I'll say. Like you just, oh, you look at housing prices and you're just like, it makes you feel sick, honestly. And renting too has been super hard in Canada. That rental prices have just been like for a tiny. Actually, I saw this and it was really funny. I think it was from Toronto, and it was literally like this like tiny little, I don't know, like 400 or 500 square foot. Like you can't even call it an apartment. It's like this little room, and it was like a ridiculous amount of money. And I was just like, man, I can't believe it. Like it's so expensive to live in big cities. So like anything, right? Canada's expensive, just like every other place. How is Quebec? Is it just like France? Okay, you know what's actually really funny? I've been to France, but I've never been to Quebec. So I don't know. I don't know if it's similar. I really liked France. That was really interesting, but I have heard people say it is somewhat similar. But the way that French is spoken, I know this for sure. The way that French is spoken in France versus Quebec French, it is not the same thing. And this is a funny thing. So my uncle is actually from France, and so he's very obviously fluent in French. And you do have to take, well, back when I was in high school, we had to take a second language, and French was basically the only language that was offered. So I was learning French. My uncle's like, "What are you saying? Like, what kind of French are you learning?" Because it's like the Canadian French or whatever. Which again, I don't know if like the French I was learning was exactly what people from Quebec speak. But yeah, he was just like, "Well, that's a weird kind of French. That's not the French that I speak." So I think like there's this thing. I don't know if it's like um I don't want to say like maybe animosity, but maybe there's like this idea where like the way that people from Quebec speak French and the way that like people from France speak French, it's like this like point of contention. Maybe I'll just say that like Quebec people from Quebec are like that's how we speak French, and then yeah. Anyway, kind of getting off on a tangent there, but yeah, I just know that the way they speak French isn't the same. How much of Canada is even inhabitable? Oh, a fair bit of it. But is there some that isn't? Absolutely. If you go, I think actually I heard a statistic. Don't quote me 100% on this, but I think like 80% of Canadians live within a couple hours of the US border. So most of us live like, if Canada's like this, most of us live like right here. And then there's some people that live like up here. So yeah, it is, we have a lot of land. It's just parts of it you don't want to live there because it's not the best place to live. So yeah, we tend to live close to all the big cities. And how much? I've heard people say Alberta is like the Texas of Canada. Um, I guess maybe. I've been to Texas. It's not like the weather. Alberta weather is nothing like Texas weather. Maybe they're talking like as a demographic, like what the landscape looks like. Alberta's freezing cold. It does have nice summers though. It does have nice summers. The summers are short. But I went to Texas. I'm trying to remember what month it was that I went to Texas. I can't remember. And it was so hot. It was like that was when I was going through like I was doing a lot of running. I was training for some running events, like some 10Ks, and I was only there for I think it was just a few weeks that I was there for. And I remember I had to get up at like 5 a.m. to go running because it got way too hot. Like you couldn't run during the day, you couldn't run at night. And so I remember getting up at 5 a.m. and I was going running, and I was just like dripping in sweat. And I'm like, this is so weird because it's never this hot in Canada at 5 a.m. But it was fun. Like I thought it was interesting. And then I think it was at the end of that trip, there was like some huge, was it like I don't know. There was some weather thing. They had a flood. That's what it was. And we were on our way to the airport, and there was tons and tons of flooding, and our vehicle couldn't make it through. And it was just like, it was insane. I remember we ended up eventually making it to the airport and being able to leave, but the flooding was just like nothing I've ever seen. It was crazy. So I mean, it's a good memory. It wasn't a bad memory. I mean, I hope people were okay. But I hear that like the flooding happens in Texas a lot. Like they have weather and all that jazz that. So yeah, anyway, it's just not something that I really experienced from coming from Canada, it's not something that I experienced, and it's just, like, so hot outside, and there's all this water everywhere, and it's just, like, it was wild. I discovered you last year after 2 other child-free channels, but you're my favorite. The way you carry yourself is elegant. I started watching the child-free content a few months ago, and I'm a guy. Oh, thank you, Jumping Moose. Thank you so much. That's really sweet of you. I love that there are more child-free people talking out about being child-free and having YouTube channels because I think everyone's like, we're all a little bit different, right? So we're going to appeal differently to different people. So that's really sweet of you. Thank you so much. And I'm glad that you are on the live stream because I feel like I love it that most of us are ladies, but I love being able to see that there's some guys out there that join too. That's awesome. Are you a fan of hockey? Um, oh, sorry. I've seen a lot of influencers doing trips to cool places. It seems like fun. Yes. I like traveling too, but I'm not an influencer that gets paid to do any of those things. So it's just, for fun. Am I a fan of hockey? No. No, I'm not a fan of hockey. I'm allowed to say that as a Canadian. I used to watch it more when I was in college because that's kind of like something fun that we all did together, right? We watch hockey. Now I have no idea what's going on with hockey now. All the Canadian stereotypes. Sorry, I know it's okay. It's okay. I'm not. In some ways, I'm a typical Canadian completely, and so it would be disappointing if I didn't at least say the word "a" once, right? Because all Canadians say "a." So there we go. Like how Spain speaks in a different version than Mexico, for example. Right. Yeah. So it's the same thing with French. The way that we speak French is different than people who speak French in Paris or France. And I remember being like super because I didn't know a lot of French, obviously, when I ended up going, because it was years after I studied French that I actually went to France. And I was so nervous. I was like, I don't want to say anything because all I could remember was how my uncle was like saying, that's not how you speak French. And so I was like terrified to say anything. So I was like a mute just sitting there. I wouldn't even say anything. But that's fine. Like I went with a group of people and there was a tour guide, and so he kind of helped us. It was like a very organized tour that we went on. So we had like our own big bus and a tour guide and a whole group of people. And so our tour guide obviously spoke English and French. And so he was kind of like the go-between to help us with stuff. But even like when you sit down at a restaurant and you order and you're like seeing all these names and you're going to mispronounce it and you're going to like butcher the language. And I was just like, oh, I don't want to do that. So yeah, but it was still a really fun experience. A fun fact that always blew my mind is that Minneapolis is further north than Toronto. Oh. Oh, that is kind of a fun fact. I have to go look at a map now. I've heard before French and Quebec French is different, but I forgot it's like a dialect with different vocab or mainly just pronunciation. Yeah, I don't totally know the difference. And actually, I think I took French for 2 years, and then the high school I went to ended up they ended up having a second option to learn a second language, and they introduced German. And I switched to German because I found it way easier. And like my family is from Switzerland, so we're a European family. I grew up speaking a second language. I grew up speaking Swiss German. So German is not exactly the same as Swiss German, but it was way easier for me to like grasp and to catch on to. And so I was just like, I'm just going to go with what is easier. So Houston, were we in Houston, Texas? Yeah, I think that's where it was. I'm pretty sure it was Houston, Texas. Yeah. What are your favorite free time activities? Free time activities. I like exercising. I like baking, actually, quite a bit. I think that's always really fun. Yeah, I like baking and eating the baking. I like hiking. So like, yeah, physical things, I guess. And then I love going to my local library and just taking out books. But then I have to disinfect the books because I'm like a germaphobe. So that's one thing. I never went to the library for years because I was just like, oh, it's so germy in there. But then I was like, hey, I can just bring, those like disinfectant wipes. I just bring Lysol wipes and then just clean all the books, let them dry, and then I feel much better about reading a book. I know that's so weird. I'm so germy. I'm like kind of freaky like that. But yeah, we actually go to the library quite a bit. And just take out books because I don't know, it's always interesting to like read stuff. Oh, and the best thing is that my library does, which I love. They'll have, I'm sure every library does this, but they have these grab bags. It's just like paper bags, and they're like brown paper bags, so you can't see in them. And it just has a sticker on the front, so it'll be like suspense, or it'll be like novels, or it'll be like history. And so then you just grab a bag, and it just has like a surprise inside. So it'll have like 4 or 5 different books with that specific genre of story inside. So I like I've grabbed history ones before, and then you just then you're getting books that you maybe normally wouldn't pick off of a shelf. Like sometimes they're hit or miss. Like I've grabbed the bags before and been like, oh, none of these things are interesting, but that's fine. You just bring them back and grab a different bag or just look through books. So it's kind of like fun because you're kind of like getting a surprise, but you don't really know what it is that you're going to get. And I like that. That's really fun. All right. Um, I've got my cilantro chocolate turning in from Santa Fe, New Mexico. Ever been? I've never been to New Mexico. No, I have not. Um, but I get like again, I would just love to travel. I love having a home base, but I would love to spend more time traveling. So hopefully that will happen. Yes, what kind of chocolate are you guys eating? Let me know. Let me know in the comments. Okay, so I have to lead by example here. So this is something that my husband actually got me at Christmas time, but I didn't end up eating it. So this might be like a Canadian version. So these are Smarties. There we go. And I think I've seen Smarties in the US, but they're different kinds of Smarties. So these are actually candy, like there's chocolate inside, and then there's like a candy coating around the chocolate. And they're all sorts of fun colors. And then different times of the year, they'll do different colors. So that is what they look like. My camera will focus. Okay. Oh, there we go. So that's what they look like. And then if you bite one open here, yeah, there's just chocolate on the inside and then some candy coating on the outside. There we go. So that's what they look like. So that is the kind of candy that I'm going to be eating. I'm going to try not to chew too loud because no one wants to hear me chew into the microphone. So. But yes, that's my candy. Let me know what you're eating. All right. Just arrived, got some Cadbury's. Always a nice option. Love it. I wanted to share something that helped me with harmful comments like, motherly love is the greatest love, only that it is real. It is based on an irrefutable biological bond. Yeah. I just, and I wonder if you're, oh, it is the, okay. Sorry, your comment continues. If the survival instinct argument is being used, ultimately what counts for survival is getting love and care, not who we get it from. Open to interpretation. Yeah, I think like I was actually just reading this article about this not that long ago, and it was talking about, it was literally saying the same thing. Like this mom writing this article saying, you know, you're just not going to understand what real true love is because there's nothing like the bond between a mother and a child. And I totally get that. And I agree with that because I will never understand the bond and the love their mom has with the kid because I don't have a kid. And that's fine. And I agree with that sentiment. But that also doesn't mean that we don't know collectively as childhood people what love is. I don't know that like one love trumps another love. Like the bond between a mother and a child is more important than the bond between and the love between like spouses or partners. And I sort of feel like that's almost the way that it's said. It's almost said in a way that like, well, this kind of love is better than this kind of love. And this is the only kind of love, like the mother and child bond and love that they feel is somehow a truer love than any other kind of love that exists. And I don't think that that's true. Because I think we can feel love in so many different ways. And I think like as humans, naturally we are bonded to people and we do love people, but there are some people that grow up without strong bonds to their parents, right? So then the bond that they have with, I don't know, a sibling or the bond they have with a grandparent or a bond they have with an auntie and uncle is like so much more special than a bond that they ever had with a parent. So yeah, I would say it just, bonds are different. I don't think one bond trumps another bond. But again, I do think that the concept of like motherly love being the best kind of love and that you'll never understand love is out there. And I think it will be out there for a long time still, because I think that's just what people have always believed. And so that's just what people say. And I guess if that's what they want to believe, so be it. But I have to say, like, if when people are like, well, you don't know what love is, and I'm like, the love between my husband and I is somehow like less of a love. I'm like, I don't think so. We have a strong love together. I got my chocolate covered pretzels. Those are so good. I love chocolate covered pretzels. Oh my goodness. Yummy, yummy, yummy. So delicious. Can you, oh, where are we here? Oh, I just lost my train. Oh my goodness. Sorry. Okay. Can you say something in Swiss German? Wie geht's? That's just like, how are you? Meine Name ist Johanna. I just said, my name is Hannah. So yes, in Swiss German, my name is pronounced Johanna instead of Hannah. So that was kind of a fun thing. So my friends in high school always used to think it was funny that my name was Johanna, so that's what they used to call me. So they used to be like Johanna instead of Hannah. That was kind of fun. Swiss German is wild. I know Austrian German, but Swiss German is another beast. Haha. You know what? It's not a pretty sounding language. I will say that it's very like throaty and very like kind of rough sounding. And I know when so growing up, we spoke Swiss German in my house all the time. My dad was very like ESL, so he was kind of learning English. I guess we all kind of learned English together in a sense. So my mom grew up in Canada, so she was super fluent in both, but her family was also Swiss German. And then my dad grew up in Switzerland, and so he only spoke Swiss German. So when they ended up getting married and they came to Canada, um, my dad didn't know any English, so he was just learning English. And so as a family, we always spoke Swiss German. That's what we grew up learning because that's what my dad understood best. So then when we started going to school, my sisters and I, then we learned English. So anyhow, when we would have friends over, my dad would automatically usually just speak Swiss German just because I think that's what he felt most comfortable with. And my friends would always be like, is your dad mad? Like he sounds like he's angry the way he's talking. Like, are we doing something wrong? I was like, no. To me, it didn't seem weird to have a second language and how it sounded. Like it was just so normal to me. But a lot of my friends were just like, oh, it's just like he sounds like he's really angry all the time. And I was just like, no. And then I realized later, as I got older, it's just like a very kind of harsh sounding language. It's not beautiful. Like, you know, you hear like Spanish is like beautiful and flowing and like, yeah, that's not how Swiss German is. But that's okay. Not all languages have to sound the same. Uh, German is definitely easier in some ways. Yeah. Libraries are brilliant. They should have some child-free books. Yeah, that makes me wonder how many child-free books are in libraries. I haven't actually checked at my local library if they have any of the child-free books that are out there, because there are a few out there. I've never even thought to check. I loved some of the videos you did with your husband. You two bounce off each other so well. I'm genuinely happy to see a happy married couple. Yeah, you know what? This is so funny because I'm the introvert in our relationship and he's like the extreme extrovert and he does not like being in videos. He's just not like his thing. He did a couple of them with me and he like had fun, but he's just like, oh, I don't really want to do it as like a regular thing, which that's fine. I totally get that. So will he ever be on my channel and in a video again? Like I'll never say never, but probably not super often. What is my favorite book? Oh man, I don't know that I have a favorite book actually. I think I really liked one book I think that left a really big impression on me is The Diary of Anne Frank. I remember reading that as a teen, like being the same age that she was when she was going through the stuff she was going through. And I was just like, man, that is wild. I can't even imagine what that would have been like. So I think that's just something that really left an impression on me. I love biographies and travel books. Yeah, I love biographies, autobiographies, like reading about people's lives, I think is really interesting. Oh, I should have a candy here. Ooh, chocolate Teddy Grahams. I have not had Teddy Grahams, I think since I was a kid. Long time since I've had Teddy Grahams. I love Snickers and Hershey bars. Also very, very, very good. We have Smarties in the UK, but they're hard to find. The blue ones came in the mid-'80s. Yeah, you know what? It's been a long time since I've actually had Smarties. And the colors are totally different than the Smarties I remember. They used to have like really bright red ones and bright blue ones, and they had green ones. I don't know if this pack was like they have seasonal packs, but my husband got this pack around Christmas, but there's like not really Christmas colors in here. So yeah, that's okay. They taste just as good as I remember though. Are Smarties like M&Ms? They don't have nuts in them, but I guess they're kind of similar, just smaller. Yeah, so it's just like the hard chocolate on this in the center, and then the coating around the outside, and they all taste exactly the same. The colors don't mean anything in Smartie land. I'm editing my PhD thesis at the library now. Please wish me luck. I'm so tired. I need to submit it first thing this week. Oh my goodness, you go, Jenna. Good luck editing your thesis. That is a huge step, and like, good for you. You are getting so close to finishing something you've spent forever on. So, sending you all the luck, sending you energy. And I hope your editing goes really well. ASMR. Yeah, totally ASMR. So I was telling my husband last night about ASMR because he hasn't spent a lot of time on social media and stuff, or like really at all. So I was just telling him, I was like making a joke. I was just like, yeah, I could just like do ASMR and just like shake these around and make all these noises with candy. And my husband was like, that's so weird. He's like, it's so weird. People will like watch that. I'm like, yeah, people love it. It's, I guess, very therapeutic for some people. Okay, oh, oh boy. American ones are far too sweet for me. I haven't tried Canadian ones. I have been to Vancouver though, but I went for the flavored popcorn. Yes. Yeah, they do taste I've had the American Smarties, and they do have a different flavor. They don't taste the same. I'm having Girl Scout cookies with my Earl Grey tea. Although the cookies are one of the vegan ones. Oh, nice. I haven't had Girl Scout cookies in a long time either. So we live in a neighborhood that has a lot of kids, and they used to come around. The kids used to come around and sell Girl Scout cookies all the time. They haven't been around in a long time. I didn't know they had vegan Girl Scout cookies now. That's pretty cool. I mean, I guess like there's lots of vegan options for everything now because that's kind of been pretty popular in the last few years. So yes, tea. Oh, I could go for a cup of tea. That would be really good too. I have a fond for my favorite plants. Yes, my plants are still doing really well. Oh yeah, there's Fergus. He is doing so well. I'm serious. This is like, if you are bad with plants, get one of these plants. Do I know what kind of plant it is? I don't know what it's called, but I barely ever water this thing, and like it's going strong. So that's the kind of plant for you if you're bad with plants, just like me. In the UK, we used to get those wonderful Swiss chocolates with the photos of mountains on them. Can't get them anymore. Oh, we had those all the time when I was a kid. Oh, I totally remember that. Yes. My grandma used to send us, so my dad's parents obviously lived in Switzerland. So every Christmas, she used to send this big box of Swiss chocolate. So that is why the Toblerone, these guys right here, my absolute favorite chocolate. Lindt, my favorite chocolate. That's what I grew up on. And yeah, I'll probably never, ever give it up. So maybe next time we do our live, I've got to bust into this like little baby Toblerone. That's got to come next. That big Toblerone I'm going to have to share with someone because I'm not going to be able to eat all that myself, nor should I be eating that myself. I hope you are well. Yes, I am doing very well. I'm half German. It sounds different. Yeah, Swiss German. Okay, so here's the thing. If you speak Swiss German, you can understand German. Not 100%, but quite a bit. But people who speak German cannot understand Swiss German. That's kind of how it seems to go. How would you say Schweizerdeutsch? Yeah. So yeah, it would be pronounced Schweizerdeutsch. Correct. I learned swear words from my mother first in German. Isn't that what they always do? As soon as someone speaks a second language, they're always like, what are the bad words? We all want to know the bad words first. I think you should check out Born Survivors. It does center motherhood, but it does center motherhood, but it talks about the challenges and the risks of being pregnant in the Holocaust. Three true stories. Love that book so much. Oh, I probably would actually really like that. Yeah, that sounds like a really interesting book. And I've saved the chat, so I will be able to remember what the name of the book was. Thank you very much for sharing that with me. I remember Smarties came in a white roll. Smarties are softer inside. Yes, it's true. Yes, then if you're comparing it to like the American Smarties, yeah, these are definitely like more. They're not soft. Like they're still a crunchy candy, but they're not as hard as the American Smarties that I tried back in the day. I mean, smart candies can change obviously over time. Reading biographies from Holocaust survivors are so fascinating. My favorite is The Pianist. Okay, so now I have a couple of books I'm definitely going to read. Thank you for the suggestions. Yeah, it's just there's something about like I just finished recently reading a book about a lady who went through World War II, and like people were so I don't know resilient. Like all the stuff I was reading in the book, like it made me feel almost guilty that I have such a good life. And I'm reading this, and she's going through all this like really hard stuff, and I'm just like, man, like if I was in a position where I had to go through that, like would I even survive like a day? I don't know. It's just so sobering. And I don't know. I just admire people that just like stay strong, and they just like they think of something. And I've noticed in most of the stories that I've read of people that have gone through like extremely challenging times, especially during the war, they just have like one thing that they focus on or one thing that they like hold on to that kind of gives them like the hope that like we're gonna get through this. And yeah, incredible stories. Um Sounds like plain M&M's, colorful chocolate. I eat them by color. Yes, when I was little, I definitely used to eat Smarties by color. And we used to like count how many of the different colors were in the different boxes. Blue was always my favorite Smartie, and there was always like hardly any blue in the box, right? Your favorite color is always like the one that's like least featured in the box, or so it seems to be. Um, My brother read Frankenstein and Dracula recently, and he gave me his Dracula book now, so I'm getting into reading again. Yeah, I love reading. I know that a lot of people think it's boring, but I would rather read a book than watch a movie, just personally. I love reading. Smarties are len lens okay, I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that because 'cause I'm really bad at pronouncing things, but they're from Czech Republic. Cool. Do you have Wispa bars? Um, no, I've never seen that where I live, a Wispa bar. I love Thin Mint cookies. I'm glad they have knockoff ones in the store now. Yes, a lot of people. Oh, here's a question. Do you guys like mint in your cookies? Like, do you like mint flavored sweet things like mint chocolate, mint cookies? Because I think it's like either like people love it or they hate it. I don't mind it. I have to kind of be in the mood for it though, because it almost feels like a dessert after the dessert, right? It's like the thing I eat before I go brush my teeth because I feel like that like wraps up me eating is having something with a mint. I don't know. That's really weird, right? Probably very strange. I use fake plants for inside. They're amazing and great memories of childhood. Yes, we have a couple of fake plants as well. My house will never be filled with a bunch of plants. It's just not going to happen. Um, I still need to read Slave, which I think I heard from you. Child free doesn't mean chocolate free. Child, no, no, my goodness, no. CF is only child free. Definitely not chocolate free. Honestly, the best books about survivors of Holocaust were never translated from Polish. Oh, I bet. I bet there are some incredible books that have never seen the light of day, for various reasons, obviously. Because I think there are so many stories out there, and there are probably just like a few that get published and that become popular. But compared to all of the people that went through such challenging and rough times, and then the amount of stories that we actually have, because I'm sure there are a lot of people that didn't even write out their stories, but it is to me it's like really fascinating to people who went through challenging times like that and are willing to talk about it. I don't know why that fascinates me. Like, you feel horrible for people, but again, like I said, it's just like there's something about people's spirits that have survived that and come out the other end and then made a life for themselves that I just find like incredibly fascinating. History is the closest to time travel we have, in my opinion. I don't understand why some people find it so boring. There's many interesting things that have happened. Yes, I agree. Sad stuff, but interesting. Very. But one thing I think too, I think it depends. Like when I was growing up, and I think about when I took history class, I thought it was super boring. I had to take Canadian history, lived in Canada, so I had to take that when I was in university. But I also think it depends on the teacher and how they teach the classes because I was like, oh, this is so boring. And to be honest, Canadian history is not that interesting. We got the Hudson's Bay Company, we got Louis Riel, we got a few other things, but American history actually is more interesting than Canadian history. But also, so I kind of had this like idea that like, oh, history's really not even that exciting. But then when I met my husband, he loves history. He started sharing history with me and different stories and books he was reading. And I was like, oh, this stuff is actually really interesting. So I think it depends. You just have to find the history that interests you. And I think stories really interest people. Well, they interest me. And the way that I learned Canadian history, it was just memorizing a bunch of dates and like events that happened. And that's not super interesting. I mean, there was story in there, but it was more just like you have to memorize dates and people's names and all the big events that happen. But when you read a book of someone's experience, obviously there's way more detail in it and there's something about the way that a story is shared that it like draws me in and I'm just like, oh, this is so interesting. And it's like you don't even that you're reading history, but it's interesting history. It's not just like memorizing dates and times that are kind of boring. I love chocolate and mint. I love mint chocolate ice cream. I love mint flavored ice cream only. Excited about the return of Shamrock Shakes at McDonald's. Oh, yeah, that's coming up, right? That's not so far away. I haven't actually been to McDonald's in a really, really long time. I'm a vegetarian, so there's not really much I can eat at McDonald's. I remember when my parents used to get a real tree during Christmas. We grew up, we only had real trees. We never had artificial trees ever. That was not a thing. And okay, I'll say this because we don't do it anymore. But when we were really young, like the thing in Europe is to have actual candles on your tree, like on a real tree. I know that's like a fire hazard that would never be allowed, but Back in the day, we used to do that. But the trees were not like, you know how you see a Christmas tree now, they're like super bushy and all the like branches are super close together. They're nothing like that. Like we would have these trees that were like, it kind of looked like more of a Charlie Brown tree. It's like the branches were really spindly and like far apart. And it wasn't like a super filled out tree. So you actually could have candles on it because the candles were far enough apart that I mean, okay, it's still a fire hazard. It was still totally a fire hazard, but I think when people think about candles on a tree, they think of like the trees that most people see now that are real. And it's just like, how could that thing not go up in flames? But yeah, the trees were just very different looking. But yeah, we don't do that anymore. We did that for a little bit and then we heard that was frowned upon. We're not supposed to do that. So we don't do it anymore. And then I think when we got older, we got an artificial tree. And now Michael and I just have an artificial tree. We never bother with real trees. And they're super expensive. Like we live really close to a Christmas tree farm. And the Christmas trees this year were insanely expensive. And they sold out like super early in the season. So I don't know if they're having like a shortage of the trees or whatever. But also I think that maybe just having an artificial tree because you use it for so much longer is probably a little bit more environmentally friendly than like cutting down a tree, using it. And then I don't even know what people do with people who still get real Christmas trees. I don't know what people do with them now. Like when we were kids, we used to we had a wood stove. We grew up with a house that had a wood stove and we just burned our Christmas tree in there. So yeah. Survival stories are I like mint, but I have to be in the mood for it. Yes, I would agree with that. I kind of have to be in the mood for it too. Do I ever play video games? I don't. I don't find video games interesting. When I met my husband, he was really into video games. And so he found out I'd never played a video game before. He's like, oh my goodness. He's like, you have to play video games. So he's like showing me how to use the controller. I don't know. I think we played like Need for Speed or something like that. And I was terrible at it. And I was like, oh, this isn't very fun. So no, I'm not a video game person. And I think I never grew up playing video games either. So I think that's probably has something to do with it. One of my friends had like a little Game Boy. He used to bring on the bus and used to play this like little Game Boy. Do you remember like they were like really little? So this is like in the 90s. Is that when the Game Boy came out? And it looked almost like, I want to say it was purple in color, but it wasn't really purple, but it was just like, yeah, I totally just remember it. And he let me play that. He let me play Super Mario on that a couple of times. And I actually thought that was actually quite fun, even though I wasn't very good at it. But yeah, so I'm not good at video games and I don't play them very often. Survival stories are so interesting. I agree. I think it's just like seeing how people survive tough situations. Like, how can it not draw you in and like be really exciting? Women's history is interesting. Yes, I definitely have gone down that rabbit hole in some of the videos I've made. Collecting some data and information to include in some of my YouTube videos, and then I'm just like, next thing I know, it's been a couple hours, and I've just been reading about all this stuff that people like that women specifically have done. It's very, very interesting. I like social history. Yeah, I think it's just you have to find the part of history that's appealing to you, and then history becomes really interesting, which was so surprising to me. I realized after I met my husband, history is not boring. It just depends what you're interested in, and there's lots of good stuff out there. You just have to find it. My favorite event in Canadian history is Shania Twain's birth. That's funny. I have not listened to Shania Twain in a long time. Back in the day when there were CDs, I had several of her CDs and I used to listen to them all the time. Oh, you guys, do you remember? If you're a 90s kid, you're going to remember this. Do you remember CD organizers? They would be like black and they have like the zipper and you flip them open and they have like all the little pockets for your CDs. I totally saw a video. I think it was on I don't remember, it was maybe like a YouTube short or something where people were like being like, the new kids nowadays, they don't know what it was like to be a kid in the 90s when you were trying to decide what CD you were going to listen to on your Walkman. And I was like, oh, I can totally relate to that. Oh, the good old days. I guess those are our good old days when we had CDs in like the little pockets. It's kind of funny. Like it's weird that I've been alive long enough now when I see stuff like that and I actually know what it is, because when things used to first come out on the internet and people used to refer back to like not that they're all good old days, but people used to refer back to, oh, when I was a kid and they'd show something and I'd be like, well, what is that? What does that mean? Right. But now people are making videos back of when I grew up and I was a kid and it's so relatable. And I'm like, oh my goodness, that's so weird that like my nieces and nephews are like, what is that? Or they know what it is, but they never had it. Right. We're all getting older. Which is okay too. My history teacher told us about times when the law of the first night was in power and one of the kings had over 300 children because of it. It's a lot of kids. It's a lot of children. I'm with you on that. You have to find the right topic and read about it or watch documentaries. I like watching videos about the 50s and old Hollywood. Schooling is definitely a watered down version. Yeah, it's true. Oh yeah. Like I think just like seeing life in the 50s and 60s. It's so funny you mentioned this because the other night at dinner my husband was like, "Oh, I want to watch like a little documentary of what life was like in the 50s." So we were watching it. It was like so funny. Like you look back on it now, and it's just like, there's the mom and the dad goes off to work with his briefcase, wearing his suit and tie, and the mom's like in her heels and in her dress in the kitchen, like making the turkey and everything. We were just laughing because we're just like, your life is nothing like that anymore. Well, for most of us, like life is nothing like that. And they dress like so like, I was just thinking, like, how could you do housework in a dress? Like, that's just how people did it. Like, I think people just maybe, I don't know, I want to say like dressed nicer. They were just like maybe more formal in the way that they dressed because I really don't know many people that wear like dresses to do housework or to like work in the garden and stuff like that. It's just kind of humorous. But that's just, life is always changing. And I'm sure in 50 years, people will be looking at us in 2023 and like laughing at how we did things too. So uh, was it more of a myth though, that first night, right? Yeah, I have no idea. I'm not an expert, and this is actually the first time I've heard of it. So, what has been your favorite hiking destinations? What is the most extreme hikes you have done so far? My favorite hiking destinations? I mean, pretty much anywhere we visit someplace new, I like doing a hike. And there's so many like different types of hikes, like Hawaiian hikes are like different than Canadian hikes, but I like both of them. And then hikes we did in New Zealand were different. So I think I like all of them. I don't have a like one specific favorite one. The hardest hike we ever did, the most extreme hike we ever did was for my birthday one year. I said to my husband, listen, I was like, the introvert self was taking over. And I said to my husband, okay, for my birthday, he's like, what do you want to do for your birthday? He's like, do you want to have a party? Do you want to do stuff with people? And I was like, no, I don't want to hang out with anybody. I was like, I want to go on like an all day hike, just up in the mountains and just like be around basically nobody. So he's like, okay. So I found this hike. We almost died. Seriously, it was a very extreme hike. So basically what it was is it was a loop. So you start here, you can do the whole loop, and it basically takes, like they estimate it takes 12 hours to do the hike. So what most people do is they go up, they go to get to the top of the hike, and then they come down the same way. But I was like, no, that's so boring. Like I want to do the whole thing all the way around because I want to see what's on the other side. What we didn't know was that like maybe only a couple people a year literally do the whole hike like this. So the trail was completely, so we got to the top. It was amazing. It was gorgeous. And then when we came back down the other side, it was just like those little excuse me. The trail was completely overgrown. Clearly it had not been hiked in a really, really long time. And there was just those little call them like those, those like plastic fluorescent ties that they put like along trees. And that's how you followed the path. Like we had a cell phone, so we had like the GPS and everything, but it was incredibly, incredibly steep. And I think just because no one had been using the trail for so long, it was overgrown. It was actually kind of scary. And it took us a really long time to get back down the other side of the mountain. And it was much harder than if we had just come down the way that everyone else comes down. But anyway, it was a fun hike. It left an impression on both of us. And Michael was just like, I don't think I'm ever letting you pick a hike again. And this was the crazy thing on the hike. As we were hiking, like there's nobody around because it's just the two of us, right? And they closed the gate at like to the hike. They open the gate at 6 a.m. They close the gate at 6 p.m. So they literally said you only have 12 hours to do this hike. And it took us, like, it didn't take us 6 hours to get to the top, but it took quite a while. But then coming down the other side, because everything was so overgrown, we were basically bushwhacking. It took us so long to get down the other side of the mountain. And we were like checking our watches. We were like we don't want to get locked in and have to like spend the night there or like, try to get our truck out of the locked gate. Anyhow, we kept hearing this like crackling sound, like something's following you. And first I thought it was just like my imagination, but it totally wasn't. Like we're going down this like super steep mountain, and like behind us, we could hear something like there was something following us. And so we were trying to make tons of noise and everything, and had whistleblower that just, making a lot of noise to scare away whatever it was. When we get to the very bottom of the mountain, there was a sign. This sign was nowhere when you come up the other side of the mountain. There was no sign that said this anywhere, but there was this giant sign at the bottom of the mountain that said, beware, do not hike, mountain lion. So I can only guess that there was probably a mountain lion following us on this hike. That's why I said we almost died. But I mean, we didn't die. I'm being a little bit dramatic, but I was just like, oh my goodness, like, why wouldn't you put that sign at the very top? Because then we would have just come down the same way that we went up. We wouldn't have like bushwhacked our way back down the other side of the mountain. So that's like the most adventurous hike I've ever been on. But like, I pretty much like all hikes. All right. So that's enough, probably way more of a explanation about hiking that you ever wanted. Um, I feel that way about cat videos. Oh, yes. Too funny. Yes, so that was my most extreme, QDT, that was my most extreme hike. So I used to play with my brother's Game Boy, gray with the dim screen. Okay, maybe it was like gray, right? I'm thinking like it wasn't purple, so it was like the gray one. Yes, super super dim screen, like you feel like you couldn't see anything on the screen, like when you compare it to like toys they have nowadays. Uh, I feel like that way about cat videos. Haha. Yeah, cat videos aren't for everyone. I could watch them all day long, but they're not for everyone. Um, I'm what I would call a backseat gamer. I watch my husband play the video games I'm interested in so I can follow along in the story. Yeah, that works. That's like, yeah, when my husband was still super into gaming, that's what I would do. I would just follow him and ask questions. And he's like, "Do you want to play?" And I'm like, "No, no, I don't want to play." Uh, I like that. I still have the CD organizer. Oh, I think I still have one too. I couldn't throw it out. I think I got rid of pretty much all my CDs, but I could not throw out my CD organizer. I was just like, that thing is close to my heart. We have a lot of good memories, so I'm keeping it. I still have my CD organizers, and I upcycled my CD towers into paint storage in my studio. Oh, that's smart. Yeah, see, they served a purpose back in the day. We just have to repurpose them, and then we can reuse them for things nowadays. I love it that some of you know what I'm talking about. I remember that I also had a 5 CD changer. Oh, okay, you were very lucky. You got the 5 CD changer. You were living the life. I never had that. Oh, on the back of my first car that I had to choose my 5 best CDs to play in the car. Yeah, that's hard, hey, because you have to like if you have like 100 CDs and you're trying to think of, "Oh my goodness, what are my top 5?" That was the hard thing. I actually think that our car had a 3 CD changer. So, oh man, this is so funny how life has changed. So funny. I just like every once in a while get these like memories and I just think like, oh, that was so advanced. Like I just remember how excited my friends and I were and how advanced we thought everything was. Like we're just like, oh my goodness, we can't believe we have like CDs and we can put 5 CDs in the changer or 3, however many we had. And now, like my nieces are just like, what? That's all you could do? And I was like, hey, that was big when we were young. That was the thing. Oh, we are slowly becoming boomers. We are becoming boomers, and it's a little scary because don't you still feel like you're in your 20s or like maybe your early 30s, but like I still feel like I'm in like my mid 20s. And then I realize I'm not in my mid 20s anymore. And it's so strange. I think it's weird to age. That's what I've started to notice. I never thought much about aging when I was like in my teens or my 20s because I feel like when you're a kid you always want to be older because my you get more privileges with being older and life just Life just sorry. Oh my goodness, I'm losing my voice. This is why I can't do live streams. I'm always losing my voice. I've been talking for an hour. Yeah, it just seems like you start to realize you're aging when you start to like feel nostalgic about things that are brought up about your own childhood. uh Shania Twain released a new album yesterday, and I put it in my CD binder. I love it. Oh, I didn't know she released new music. I used to, like, follow her career and, like, everything, and then I kinda lost track of everything. I still like her, though. I still like her music, so oh, that's too funny. I'm gonna have to check that out. I see the organizers in storage at my parents' home somewhere. Yeah, I think that's where most of our organizers and CD things and things of our childhood went, right? They're sort of just, like, somewhere in our parents' storage place. Used to buy just 1 CD to listen to 3 songs. Yes, we had to do that, right? And that was if you think about it, okay, so now I'm gonna be, like, throwing back a little bit more here. Do you remember tapes? Like, like, we had tapes in our house before we had CDs, and when you wanted to listen to a certain song on a tape, you had to, like, guesstimate where the song was if you didn't know and, like, fast forward and stop and play, and then fast forward, stop and play. So when CDs came out, it was amazing because it's like, if you only liked song number 3, 8, and 12, you just pressed the number 3 or you just press number you could just, like, skip so quickly to the song that you wanted. That's why I think CDs were so exciting to me. Uh, Kids today have 2,000 days at school. Like we had 1970s. Oh, you're right. That's so funny. Oh, you guys. Oh my goodness. That's so weird. It's so weird to age. Oh my goodness. And bite your tongue. I'm a late Gen Z early millennial, 79. Yep. You know all about the 90s. I am I'm trying to trace my family tree in Pakistan, but when I tell other people in my community, they're like, "What's the point?" Because they think I'm whitewashed as I only speak English and live in the UK. You know what though? I think it's interesting. Like some of us really want to know our family history and we like to know like where we came from and like, what sort of that journey was for people. And yeah, I think that's kind of like been something that people have been way more interested in since the I'm trying to think of the name of those kits that came out where you can like find out your history and kind of what your family history is. Yeah, it's made it so much easier for people to understand where they came from and to know a little bit more about your family and your family's journey. And yeah, I think that's why not? If you're interested in doing it, go ahead and do it. I busted my knee on my last hike. Oh no, I'm sorry. Yeah, be careful. I feel like, you know what? Going down in hikes is so much harder than going up. Like going up is really hard, but then coming down, you got to be careful because it seems like all the bad things happen on the way down. I hope you're going to be okay. I hope you didn't like break your knee. And if you did, oh my goodness, sending you all the healing vibes. That's really scary. So yeah, hope you feel better soon. Have you seen any mountain goats on your hikes? We've seen some mountain goats. We've seen bears. Um, just like other small wildlife. I think that's pretty much it. I don't think I've seen anything more other than that. Uh, a mountain lion, that sounds so terrifying. They probably wanted to make sure people don't get too scared to stop coming. So I guess they put it on the side. They don't expect you to be in any way. Yeah. And you know what? That's only a problem until someone gets attacked and then they get like in massive trouble that they didn't let people know ahead of time. We would have definitely taken the safe way back down if we had known that there was a mountain lion following us. Because, I mean, yeah, like I like adventure, but I don't want to be stupid. Obviously, with my adventure, I want to be safe. So, I watch gameplay on YouTube. I like Metroid Dread and Cyberpunk. I haven't played them myself though. Yeah, you know what, to each their own. I just can never get into video games, even when my husband had all of his and I played with them. I think it's just like, I don't know. I just don't feel like I had the dexterity to do things that I just wasn't into it. But I know a lot of people are. A lot of people love spending time doing video games. So yeah. When you recorded from the radio, you had to pause the tape, yes, and wait for the presenter to stop talking over your favorite song. Yes, you did. I did that too. Oh my goodness, that's so funny. Sometimes you think like you were the only kid that did stuff like that, but yeah, and then you'd have like these like mixtapes that you would make, and we'd come to school and we'd share our mixtapes with each other. Yeah, you could always tell the person that was more of a pro at doing the mixtape because you didn't get like the commercial or like the talking in between the songs. Yes, yes. Good times. Definitely good times. 6 weeks after surgery, physiotherapy is going great. Oh, so you like literally busted your knee. Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I am glad that physio is going well and that you're working on your rehab and hopefully it heals up well. Gotta bring you a red laser light when hiking with mountain lions. Yes, had we known, we would have done that. I guess you just don't expect, but you know what? You always have to be safe. It was probably on us a little bit. We should have been maybe a little bit more prepared. I mean, we were somewhat prepared, but then when you see the sign, you're just like thinking, oh my goodness, I wasn't prepared enough and I should have been more prepared. But yeah, I mean, we're hiking in Canada. There's wildlife everywhere. So gotta be safe, right? So it's always a good lesson. They should have made everyone well aware of what they were risking, trying not to fall down a mountain and having something follow you. I definitely um, have fell trying to run. Oh, I completely agree. Like we were trying to go faster because we were like, what the freak is this thing following us? You try to go faster, but it's just coming faster after you. Yeah. I do think actually that, I can understand that they still want people to visit, but if you know that there's wildlife in the area, please let people know because that will deter some people from hiking, and rightly so. Not everyone wants to have an adventure with a mountain lion or a bear or whatever the case is. And you know what's really weird is actually even in our neighborhood, there are bears in our neighborhood sometimes. Like when we first moved here, we saw bears. I'm not going to say like all the time. It wasn't like we've seen them every week, but we would see them in the summer quite frequently. And there's always signage. Like there's always signage if you're out because we have hiking trails like that have the forest and everything because our community is kind of like surrounded by a forest. So I'm pretty sure the bears were here long before we were here. But yeah, anytime anyone goes for a hike, they will always, if they see something, we have like a community page and we have like bulletin boards in our neighborhood, and they will always say like, hey, this is the time and date. This is the bear that I saw. Just beware. So I never ever go hiking in the woods by myself around here because I don't have a dog. and I'm not gonna take my cats hiking. That would just be a snack for the bear. But Michael and I, like when we've gone running on the trails before, we've come like we'll be running and there's a bear like suddenly crashing out of the forest, like right in front of us, and we'll just be like, okay, we're gonna turn around and go back. And then we just let people know. So it's like make it aware that there is wildlife around is really important because some people will just avoid the trails after that. And after we see the bears, we avoid the trails because yeah, we don't want to have a run-in. So far we've been okay. And oh my goodness, I think it was 2 years ago, there was a cougar in our neighborhood. I never saw it, but one of my neighbors got a picture of it and it was in their backyard. Like, how crazy is that? Cougar. Like, they're beautiful cats though, but scary. Like, I would not want to be out running on a trail and meet a cougar. Oh, I'm a physiotherapy grad too. Yay, high five. Way to go. How are you enjoying it? Are you enjoying being a physical therapist? I have to say that you age very well. Do you have a favorite soft drink like Kool-Aid or anything? I'm not thank you for saying that. That's really nice. I am not much of a soft drinker. Yeah, I don't really drink soft drinks. And Kool-Aid, not really. I like water and like tea. And like once in a while I'll just like okay, so maybe ginger ale. Like if I have juice, I'll put like a little bit of ginger ale in it, but I don't actually drink a lot of soft drinks. Not very often. Now I'm doing my master's. Oh my goodness, you're going, oh, okay, that's awesome. Yeah, that's a long haul. Physio school can be a really long haul. So I hope that's going well for you and I hope you're enjoying what you're learning. It's a good career. I miss remembering you said you used to make cleaning decluttering videos. I've been going through a huge cleaning decluttering phase myself, so very satisfying. Oh no, you no, you remember correctly. I started my channel, my YouTube channel. It was all about cleaning and decluttering. And I've been doing a lot of that. I just haven't been filming it. So yeah, that's how my channel actually started. So yeah, you're 100% right. It is so satisfying. Like I'm starting my spring cleaning. I started it a few weeks ago, and it's just so satisfying to like go through and make everything clean and tidy and like get rid of things that you're like, why have I had this for like years? Why do I even still hang on to this? It's a really, really good way to keep your home decluttered. I try and do it like once a year where I'm just going through like every drawer and every closet and just getting rid of stuff. They say, so I've heard, they say that you're supposed to, for every one thing that you buy and bring into your home, you're supposed to get rid of two things. I don't think that includes like when you're shopping for food. So I don't do that specifically, but they say that's how you're supposed to help keep the clutter at a bare minimum. But yeah, I don't typically do that, but I've heard it's a good principle to use. But yes, love decluttering. Excuse me. Long live child-frees. Yes. It would be interesting to see, actually, do child-free people live any longer? Because maybe we have a little bit less stress in our lives because we're not parents. That would be an interesting study. As a fellow physical therapist, ma'am, please tell us about your career journey as a physical therapist in Canada. It's Um, I guess the thing that I would probably say is if you want to work in Canada, get educated in Canada, it will make the process so much easier than if you go to the US and get educated and then try and coming back into Canada. That's what I did. I went to the US. Well, I did like my undergrad in Canada, went to the US for my doctorate degree, and then came back to Canada, and it was a nightmare. But I have heard that they've made it easier since I graduated, and I graduated like years ago. So hopefully it's easier for you. But yeah, it was a bit of a nightmare. Do grizzly bears come close to houses? Um, they can if they're hungry enough. Like I've heard of people who live like out in the country who have like chickens and the bear will come and try and get your chickens. Like they are like if they're hungry, they will. Personally, they've never come like up to our house, but we're not like right on the edge of the forest. We're like in a little bit more. But I feel like if an animal is hungry or they're looking for something, they'll rummage around. We get raccoons a lot here. Like they'll go through your trash if you don't lock up your trash. I've seen a lot of your videos the past week. I'm a 25-year-old man from Belgium, and I was wondering if I was one of the only people who doesn't have a child, but I see that I am not. Thanks. You absolutely are not one of the only people that doesn't have a child. All of us don't have kids either. There's a lot more of us out there than I think sometimes we think. Like there's a big community of us out there. My friend Jared, who runs, I mean, he's like my online friend. I've never met him in real life, but he runs the child-free, he runs a child-free Facebook page, and he now has 9,000 people in his Facebook group and it's like, I think it's called Best Child Free Life. So that's 9,000 people right there that don't have kids. And then if you start looking at the channels, like the child free channels on YouTube and all the following, obviously there's probably some parents that follow child free channels, but the majority of all the people that are going to be following child free channels are child free people. So there's a lot of us out there, but it's very encouraging when you find information and you find videos and stuff and you realize, oh yeah, I'm not alone, because it can feel like you're alone sometimes. So welcome. Living around bears seems like a hassle. If you leave your trash outside or leave food in your car, you're getting a visitor. I see them break into homes on Facebook. Yeah, they've never broken into our homes. Yeah, you just have to. I think it's just like a way of living. You just get used to locking up your trash and like leaving things locked up. If you leave things locked up, it's fine. I mean, if you're like being careless, then it's a problem. And that's one reason too that my cats are indoor cats. I will never have let my cats be outdoor cats because they're gonna get eaten or attacked by something, and that would absolutely break my heart. So the only way that our cats get to go outside is on a little leash in our backyard with me walking them around. So yeah, but I know that there's other people like I've seen in the neighborhood, other people just let their cats run wild, and I personally just wouldn't do that. But to each their own. Bears can go really fast. Yes, they can. They're quick. A cougar is different from a mountain lion. I didn't know that. Um, Yes, my sister lives in the country, and there's a bear that goes into all the dumpsters and throws the trash all over the neighborhood. They have a group chat trying to figure out how to stop the bear. Oh my goodness. That's like raccoons here. Seriously, we have like a little Facebook page for how to keep the raccoons from coming like into your space and doing the thing. Yeah, like the raccoons every we have a like we keep all our trash locked up, so that's not a problem for us. But we have a grapevine and we never get to eat any of the grapes because the raccoons always come and eat them before they're ripe. And it doesn't matter like wait, we've done a bunch of stuff to try and like deter them from coming. They always come, they rip stuff apart, like we've covered them, we've done all the things. And short of like literally building a building around our grapes, they're gonna just keep coming and eating the grapes. It's just how it is. Learned a lot, lots left to learn. Yes, when you're studying the body, there's always a ton of stuff to learn. 100%. A mountain lion is a wild cat, and a cougar is a woman who likes to date younger men. There's your explanation. That's too good. Oh, I love it. I think childfree is starting to become more and more common now. There are people out there who want to live that way. Thank goodness, because I'm getting tired of getting lectured about not having kids. Yeah, and I just think like it has to be as it's becoming more popular and as people are talking about it more, there definitely is going to be more of an acceptance for it. And I think people won't be so like weirded out by the fact that not everybody wants to be a parent. Hopefully, fingers crossed. That's what we're hoping for, right? Uh, excuse me. I love decluttering. I use Olio to donate to people. What is that? I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with that. I'm surrounded by a mess. My back hurts behind my right shoulder. What should I do? Like, it's hard to diagnose people over the internet. It's probably not good. But if you're in pain, go see somebody, get help. Oh, yes, yes. Please go see someone if you're not feeling well. I'm an Indian pursuing my physiotherapy studies in India itself. Okay, yeah. I mean, if you're planning to stay in India, then that's totally fine. It's just yeah, coming into Canada can be a bit of a hassle. Speaking of bears, do you enjoy the selfie bear in recent news? Do you know what? Okay, this is terrible. I haven't watched the news in like a while. I don't even know what's going on in the world. I'm busy decluttering, and I'm not like a super regular news watcher, and so I'm gonna have to go see what that's all about because yeah, I'm a little bit embarrassed to say I don't really know what's going on. So I will have to go check that out. Uh, we have a coyote problem in my area. They have taken many cats and dogs. Yep, yeah, and we have coyote. We don't have coyotes right where we live here, but my parents have acreage and they get coyotes all the time. And yeah, they will eat small dogs, they will eat cats, they will eat all the little things. So yeah, it's just to me, it's not worth it. Like I love my pets so much that I don't even want to risk the fact that they might get attacked or hurt. Do you have many child-free friends? No, I don't. I had two, and then one got pregnant. I have one left. I mean, I'm getting through it. I'm a little bitter about it. No, it's just because she had said that she wasn't gonna have kids, and then she's like, "Oh, now I'm having kids." So it's okay. That's how it goes. I'm happy for her and her husband. But yeah, no, I don't have a lot of child-free friends. When I lived up north, a bear came straight to our kitchen window. I stood there frozen, hoping it wouldn't notice me. Luckily, I thought it saw me as a toothpick and not a worthwhile snack. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's scary. Like every time I see a bear, and I've seen a lot of them, I just like my heart just stops and I'm just like they tell you don't turn around and run. Isn't that what they say about bears? Don't turn around and run. My fight or flight kicks in and I'm just like, I am out of here. I turn and run as fast as I can. And I hope that the person with me is running just as fast. Oh, I love reading stories about people standing up to entitled parents. It's also crazy how many stories there are of parents expecting someone to know, um, to be a last minute babysitter. Yeah, it's I think the thing that gets me, and I've been seeing this a lot in some of the comments on my YouTube videos, is like the like siblings raising siblings. I always find like it's okay to help and to like learn how to do a few things, but like kids should not have to raise kids because parents are being like neglectful. That really gets to me because it's just like, oh man, like I think it's like hard for me to see that when people have a lot of kids in families, and then you have like the older ones that are paired with the younger ones that basically do like the raising of the kids. Because I think kids need parents. Like they look up to their parents and they want parents in their life. And that's the role of a parent. Not that a sibling can't help out, but a sibling shouldn't be like a surrogate parent, in my personal opinion. Olio is an app. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right because I mispronounce things all the time. It's an app where people can donate stuff to reduce landfill to their local community. Oh, that's really cool. Is that like worldwide? I'm going to write that down because I wonder if that's something that they offer like around where I live. That is super cool. Yeah, I always like donating. Like, I don't like bringing stuff to landfills. Like, if our stuff is gently used and other people can use it or benefit from it, I would way rather donate it to somebody that needs it than just like dump it in a landfill. My child-free journey started after joining a Pakistani society in university, which was a stereotype, which was just stereotypes and children party games, bad experience with a girl who liked children and a lifetime of bullying. Yeah, it can be hard because you can kind of feel like you're always on the outside, right? So that's one reason why I love being able to have an online community. One of the greatest things ever on the internet, you can find an online community. And I think we all need that. It's hard to just feel like you're always alone and that you don't belong, but you belong here. How old were you and Michael when you met? College age. When did we meet? Okay, I'm trying to think of the very first time that we met, but like we met before we dated a couple of times, but we didn't really think anything of each other. We just were hanging out with mutual friends. I would say probably the first time that we met, I think we were probably around 26 actually. 20, no, maybe a little bit younger, probably like 23, around 23. So he was done university and was working, and I was in graduate school. I decided to be child-free and a lifelong celibate, even though my parents think I'm brainwashed and I'm Muslim. Yeah, like I think there's a lot of people that won't understand the lifestyle that we pick. And like it's okay for people not to understand. And it's okay for people not even to agree with our lifestyle. But I think we deserve to still be respected. And I think that's how I view other lifestyles or decisions that people make. And like I don't get it. And we always encounter that in life. And we can just be like, honest and be like, "Hey, I don't understand why you're doing this, but I'm going to be respectful of the fact that you are choosing to live a life that you feel is the right one for you, or is what appeals to you, or is that you're drawn to, or whatever the case is." And I think there tends to be in society sometimes not a lot of acceptance for people that are doing things that are different than like what's accepted. And I think it's almost like people tend to be kind of like afraid of what they don't understand. And so if you're afraid of something, you want to like attack it or tell people that they're wrong. And that seems to be sort of like throughout history. That has obviously happened many times. Um, you are someone I would love to have you. You are someone I would love to have you as a friend. Oh, that's so sweet. I would love to have you as a friend as well. I feel like, yeah, someone asked me the other day, they're like, "Are you ever going to do a child-free meetup?" And I'm like, I'm so introverted. I don't even know if I could do that. Like talking to you guys like this isn't scary to me, but I almost feel like if I was like meeting people in real life, it would be like, I don't know, kind of scary. I know, is that weird? It's not that I wouldn't want to be friends with anybody, because I would, and I would love to have more child-free friends like in real life. I think that would be really fun. But yeah, the thought of like organizing and doing a meetup, it sounds so scary to me. I don't know why. Because it's like I'm not scared to talk to you guys here. Oh, I seem to have terrible luck. Every time I start dating someone, they say they're cool with the idea of not having kids, and then months later, they tell me it's a deal breaker. That's hard, and I feel like yeah. I mean, I have to say, like, I can't relate to that simply because I talked about this in my last live stream with like dating and stuff. Dating people, I just wasn't like my number one goal. My number one goal was my education. But that's so frustrating when people say that and then they change their minds, because it almost makes you feel like, oh, you just wasted your time again, right? So yeah, I kind of wish people, I mean, maybe they don't really know. Maybe they do change their mind, or they think they'd be okay not having kids. But Yeah, that's why we need a child-free dating app, right? Actually, I do think there was someone that was starting a child-free dating app, actually. They messaged me. It hadn't, like, they were thinking about starting it. They hadn't actually started it. That's how it went. Um, see. Oh, I did pronounce it correctly. Okay. That's surprising because I'm always mispronouncing words and names of people. I'm like a chronic mispronouncer. I'm like not good at it. Being child free and having no social media presence always throws people for a loop. Yeah. I like, I will say, like, I don't know if you guys follow me on Instagram, but I have. I'm taking a break from Instagram right now because I just feel like it was too much. Like I love the feeling of having community, but being on social media all the time, it just felt like overwhelming and it felt like it was just like too much. I was spending so much time on social media and I was just like, okay, I need to back it off because I feel like I still have to like live life and do other things and I just felt a little bit overwhelming and kind of drained from it. So yeah, I don't know. Like I want to keep making YouTube videos too. I might make them maybe like just a couple a month though, instead of spending, instead of doing like one a week. I'm not 100% sure yet, but if you see a few less videos of me, that's why. I just feel like I've been like in the Instagram world and the YouTube world and the Facebook world for like several years and I've like poured myself into it and I've enjoyed it, but it's almost like where they talk about, and I never used to understand this, but they say like people kind of get drained after a while, and I kind of feel like that's where I'm at. So I'm just like, okay, I'm going to stick with doing YouTube still, but I'm just going to take a break from the Instagram part of it just for a while, just to give myself like a little bit of breathing room and make me feel like I don't have to be on social media every single day. 'Cause I want to do it because I want to do it, not because I feel like, oh my goodness, you have to post something. If you don't post something, you're like not supporting people and you're bad, right? And I don't like that feeling. Like I feel like sometimes I'm kind of hard on myself where I feel like, well, if you don't post every single day and if you're not constantly putting out a video, like that's bad. And then I don't want to treat it like that because I want to enjoy what I do, but I also want to be honest with myself that if I need to take a little bit of a break, sometimes it's okay to do that. So I'm trying to give myself permission to take a little bit of a break. So yeah, if I'm not super active on Instagram, that's kind of why. Ever since I've known I was a kid, I never wanted to be a parent, and if I changed my mind, that I would adopt instead. I remember one time as a kid, my mom said, "Why would anybody?" What? Asking my mom why anybody would have kids. Yeah, I think some of us just in our minds, it just doesn't make sense. Like, why would anybody want to have children, right? But that's just how we feel about it, and it makes sense in our brains. But then to someone else that like loves being a parent or wants kids, they're like, why would you ever think that? It's like people who don't like to have pets, right? There are people who just have no desire to have pets, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, pets are not the same as kids. I'm not saying that, but yeah, some people just have no interest in doing that thing, and there's nothing wrong with that. We're just all wired a little bit differently, right? 99% of European women looking for potential candidates for a future husband who will agree or would like to have kids. Why? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I don't know. As someone who's just not ever really wanted kids, I'm just never really been even on the fence about it. I'm not sure. Can I please ask at what age did you decide you wanted to be child free? Mine was in my teens. Yeah, same here. I was about 14 or 15 when I like verbalized that I didn't want to have kids. I won't be serious with men unless he has a vasectomy now. Yeah, yeah, because I feel like you kind of almost, yeah, I feel like that's a way, it's a good way to know for sure if a guy's being serious about not wanting kids. Because if he has a vasectomy, that means he really doesn't want kids. And if he's saying like, "Oh, I don't want kids," and then you get into the relationship, and then he's like, "Oh, actually, no, I changed my mind. I do want kids." Like you're not going to change your mind, right? So yeah, that's I feel like that's probably a pretty good philosophy to go by. And there are way more people getting vasectomies now, like way more. So that should be a plus. That should give you some hope, right? I'm a massive introvert too. Yeah, I would love a child-free dating app. There is a website that is specifically set up for it's not, I don't think it's been made into an app, but it's a child-free dating website. And I should link it. Yeah, maybe after I'm done the live stream, which I'm going to wrap up here pretty quick. But once I finish the live stream, I will put that link into the description box of this of down in this video because I do think, and again, like so, I have to say I'm giving it with a disclaimer. It was sent to me by somebody, so I've obviously don't have any experience being on it. So I just have to give that disclaimer because if I'm sending someone a link, it's almost like I'm supporting it. But obviously, I don't have any experience using this dating website. But I'm just going to put it down there for people, and if that's something that you guys are interested in or you want to check it out, then go ahead. Because I want to help you out. Because if people are looking for people to be with, I want to help you out as much as I can. So Have quite lot of social media now. It stops us from doing stuff. Yeah, and pardon me. I think part of it too is I feel like a sense of responsibility almost. And like I get a lot of DMs on Instagram, and I feel like if I don't respond to people, I don't know, like I feel a sense of responsibility, I think, to respond to people when I get messages, like if they're telling me their story or they're sharing something with me or whatever the case is. And then it takes up a lot of time, which I don't mind because I love supporting the child free community. Like it's part of the reason I started my channels. But I think like when you first start, you don't realize like as you grow, it's just going to become more busy. And like I know people are like, oh, well, you could hire someone to like do parts of your social media for you. But I'm like, but that's kind of the part that I like. I like interacting with people. And if I have like someone else doing it for me, it isn't me. And somehow that feels a little bit inauthentic to me. I think it'd be different if I had like a business and someone was like, helping me out with the business side of something and like talking to people or something. But I think being child free is like such a personal matter. And I don't want to just like have someone else answer my messages for me, pretending to be me. Like, I don't know, that's something about that that seems really wrong to me. And so, yeah, I just think like taking a step back and taking a bit of a breather, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm allowed to do it. I don't have to feel guilty about doing it. And we all get there, right? Some of us are like, my husband is basically not on social media, like at all. At all. He's just like, he works in IT. He's around that kind of stuff all the time. And he's just like, I want nothing to do with it when I'm home. He's like, I just want to be like very separated from that. So he's never been interested in being on social media. Whereas like I love social media. Like I like being on it. But I also know that, there's like a balance in life. I think that's what it is. I feel like my life became really unbalanced. Basically to what you're saying, right? It stops us from doing other things that we want to be doing. Like cleaning, spring cleaning my house. Like that's like my passion right now. I just want to spring clean, which is a weird passion, but here we are. Hi, I'm from the mainland, Hannah. Hi, hello, fellow Canadian. I got rid of everything except YouTube in 2020. My life has a lot less stress. I'll never go back. Yeah, seriously, like I feel relieved that I don't have to come up with like reels for Instagram every day. Like that's literally how I feel right now. And I thought like I would really miss it when I made that choice to not post as much. I was like, oh, what if I just miss it so much? But I feel relief. So I think I've done the right thing. Um, Unplugging from the news is a massive win for your life. Yeah, that's kind of how I view it. Like, I still want to know basically what's going on. Like, I don't want to like be completely removed from things, but just sometimes just to like not know. And honestly, the news is like kind of depressing. There's nothing really ever good that comes in the news unless someone wins the lottery. My husband was reading the news last night, and apparently some girl won like a huge amount of money. I don't remember how it was, like 30 or 40 million, and it was her first time buying a lottery ticket. I don't know if that was in Canada or I'm not sure where, but he read that and he told me, and I was just like, wow, she had some serious luck. So, every once in a while you like hear something fun that you're kind of like, oh, that's kind of a fun piece of news. Super late to the live stream. Love your stuff. You bring a positive view to being child free without bringing others down. And thanks for being you. You know what? It's fine if you're super late to the live stream. You made it. So, yeah, I'm happy to have you here. And thank you very much for your kind words. I appreciate it. Thanks for streaming today. It gives me hope that I'm not the only person who wishes to be child free. Oh, you're 100% not the only person. And it is, I feel like it's a nice connection point to be able to hear somebody talk and I guess see someone's face and have a chat with other people that are in the same place you're in as far as not wanting kids. And that's the part of the community that I think is really important to have, right? And I always feel sad when I hear people are like, oh, I just feel so alone. And I think that's the good part of social media is that we get to be able to know that we're not alone by finding something that appeals to us or something that we relate to and being able to like just tap into that because people shouldn't be alone. It's just like keeping that balance. I think that's for me been a little bit of a problem. Got to keep the balance here. I have a confession. I wanted twin boys. When I see them, I do get the feeling of wanting to be a dad, but after 30 minutes, that feeling goes away. So my sister has twin boys. And it's a lot of work. I'm not gonna lie, it's a lot of work. But you know what? She's enjoying it. She's always wanted to be a mom and she's having fun with it. But I can imagine one of my other friends had twin girls too, and she absolutely loved it. But she was honest about it. And she was like, it's really hard sometimes having, well, she had like an older daughter already, and then she had her two twin babies. So that's just, it's wild to me. But you know what? I think people are allowed to change their minds. And I think that you can spend time with kids and be like, oh, this would have been kind of fun. But like, I know it's really not for me. It doesn't mean that we have to like dislike children or be like, we hate kids or anything like that. Right. Because that's like some people just like kids and they love working with them even, but they just don't want their own. And I think those are normal, natural feelings. And it's not something that you have to feel bad about that you like wanted kids one day and changed your mind, or that you still like the idea of spending time with kids, but just not wanting your own. Ignorance is bliss. It is really nice having a live stream on a Sunday. Yeah, I was wondering if like I should switch the time and do it at a different time, but I think like maybe Sundays seems to be a pretty good time for most people. And this kind of time of day seems to most of the time seem to be good for you guys. From the feedback you guys have given me, you guys have said that this is a decent time to have a live stream. So anyway, thank you so much for hanging out with me. It's been fun. I'm gonna go eat a little bit more of my chocolate, but actually I think I'm gonna go for a run or do some exercise first. And then I'm going to finish up with some chocolate. And thank you for spending your time with me and for chatting and for connecting. And I'll probably see you guys again. We'll probably do another live stream like 3 or 4 weeks or so. I'll probably do like one a month. That seems to be work out pretty well. Anyhow, have a great rest of your Sunday or Monday or wherever it is that you are at in your time zone right now. And don't forget to bring your chocolate next time. And I will try to post earlier that I'm doing a live stream instead of just like 12 hours before I actually do it. So my goal is to be more organized next time. So yeah, you just bring your chocolate. We'll have fun chatting about whatever it is that we want to chat about. And you are very welcome. Oh, be careful. Side note, be careful about pulling back on content being put out on YouTube. If you're at present getting rewarded by YouTube and they are sharing your content, the subscribers or views are way higher. I'm going to be super honest with you. YouTube does not pay that much. Like it really doesn't. If it depends what niche you're in. If you're in a niche of like how to grow your YouTube channel, or if you're in a financial niche or something like that, you make way more money. I do not make a lot of money for what I do. I'm just going to be perfectly honest. I'm not doing it for money. I could never pay a mortgage on what I make. So yes, I understand that if I do take a break, then obviously my stuff is going to be seen less. It's going to be pushed less by the algorithm, and that totally makes sense. But I also think that like like I have to listen to my body and my mental health too, and just make sure that I'm at a place where I am doing something that I can keep going long term and not feeling like I just like get so tired of doing it or feel so run down that I'm just like, that's it. I'm done with everything. Right. I don't want to get to that place. So yes, it is true. Yeah. I'll probably get punished by the YouTube algorithm, but so be it. Anyhow, yes, thanks for giving us some warning. Pays for the chocolate. Yes, it does. That is correct. It pays for the chocolate. So I will see you guys next time I do a live stream. Have a wonderful week and I will chat with you guys later.